boleh di backup room dia. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope all of you are doing well and in high spirits. My name is Cindy, and I will be the moderator for today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to welcome you to the Ask Ambassador Anything session with Her Excellency Judit Pach, Ambassador of Hungary to Indonesia. Our event today is part of the Europe Virtual Talks Road to Europe Day 2021 that we are holding throughout the week. Ladies and gentlemen, Europe Day is a celebration of peace and unity in Europe that is celebrated every 9th of May. Every year, the European Union, institutions in Europe, and its offices all over the world organize a number of activities for people of all ages to mark the day and raise awareness about the EU. But despite not being able to celebrate Europe Day in a traditional physical manner, FPCI is delighted to work together with the delegation of the European Union in Jakarta in convening the Europe Virtual Talks Road to Europe Day 2021, starting from May 1st to May 8th. This series acts as a platform for the Indonesian public to directly interact and converse with ambassadors or representatives of 10 European countries to gain further knowledge and insights about Europe, the EU, and its member states. So today, we are joined by Her Excellency Judit Pach, Ambassador of Hungary to Indonesia. Hi, Ambassador. Her Excellency has prepared a very special presentation for us and is ready to answer as many questions as she can from our YouTube chat box. And of course, we are also joined by students from FPCI chapters across Indonesia and the general public who are tuning in live on FPCI's YouTube channel. So thank you for participating and welcome to everybody. Before we move further, we would like to encourage all the audience to stay tuned until the end of this virtual talk because we will be having a quiz where you can win fun prizes from the European Union. You can use your order confirmation number in your email inbox to register for the quiz on Kahoot later on, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And we also encourage you to share your moments with us from this virtual talk by tagging at FPC Indo and at uni_Eropa using the hashtag EU4U and Europe Day 2021 on your social media posts. We also encourage you to ask the ambassador anything via our YouTube live chat box. Our committee will pick out the best questions and I will be reading them out. So please remember to keep your questions positive, constructive, and concise. Now let us begin our discussion today by watching a video from the Embassy of Hungary in Jakarta.
Nap alattam, nap fölöttem, lenn a fénylő víztükörben. Itt az ég a földet éri. Tán szerelme csókját kéri. Most a nap megáll az égen. Dicsőség fényüzenében. Csöndessége fönségében.
A very fun video indeed on Hungary. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite Ambassador Judit Pach to deliver her remarks. Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Cindy, and very kind of today. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here. Saya udah 6 tahun di Indonesia dan saya udah mengerti bahasa, tapi saya bicara sedikit aja. So saya akan langsung di bahasa Inggris. I really love to be in Indonesia, and for me it's a great opportunity to speak today about our relations and to also speak about Hungary, which is in a very special region of the European Union, because you know that Hungary is not among the founding members of the European Union, but we were joined later, and we are representing Central Europe within the European Union. I do this quite often, and although we don't have a direct interaction right now, but in a lot of cases, I assume that when I ask Indonesian students about what do you think, which is right now the most developing part of Europe, and especially of the European Union, which is the region which has the highest foreign direct investment and so on, still a lot of people believe, or they have this perception, that it's Western Europe. But actually right now, the quickest developing part of the European Union is Central Europe, and especially countries like Hungary, Slovakia, Czechs, Poland, which are the V4 members, but basically the central of Europe. And in the past couple of years, our importance got even more, not only because we became the attractor of the highest foreign direct investment, but also because we were the region which intensified their relations in a very new and a very innovative way, especially with Southeast Asia and with Asian countries. In Hungary right now, one of the biggest investors is Korea and Japan, followed quickly by India. And also Chinese banks are entering into Hungary right now because they see that the geographical location and the importance of Central Europe is constantly growing, due to the fact that if you have the map in front of you, you will see that Central Europe is not only linked to Western Europe, to the European Union, and of course, as Hungary is member of the Schengen zone, we are included in that territory. But we have a direct border to those countries which are outside of Schengen, which are even outside of the European Union. So, for example, if you do commercial relations with Hungary, then you will not only have the entrance and the entry gateway to the whole European Union region, but you will also have a very easy access to Eastern Europe and to countries which are not member of the Schengen zone. This makes this very, very crucial in this regard. But let me tell you a bit what we did so far with Indonesia, because I think in the past 6 years, we achieved excessive results, and I will really try to be as interesting as possible, because I think there are a lot of things about Hungary and about Hungarian-Indonesian relationships which most of you don't know. First of all, in 2016, we started a project which made it possible that with Hungarian government tied aid loan, there was 36 water cleaning units built in Indonesian villages in water scarcity areas. That means that we provided clean water into these villages, which made their life much, much easier. And it was a huge project, which is right now in line. We are thinking of continuing it further on. Also in the year of 2016, at the end, with PLN, we had a huge success, because it was a project worth $243 million US, where PLN bought from Hungary, especially from GE Hungary, because General Electrics, which is, of course, it's not a Hungarian company, but it has one of its company branches in Hungary, and gas turbines, especially the ones requiring higher technology and higher knowledge and wisdom, are produced in Hungary. And we provided 16 of these gas turbines to Indonesia, with which we helped the Indonesian electricity grid to get a higher performance. In the year of 2017, there was, and this is like one of my favorite projects, when Batam opened their first nuclear irradiation facility. And I'm sure right now every one of you is looking the same way strange as I did at the first time when I heard about it. What the heck is nuclear irradiation, and what it has to do with anything which is important in our everyday life? But actually, it's a very, very important thing, because if you imagine, Indonesia is a huge exporter of tropical fruits and spices. But especially for spices like ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, or even vanilla powder and so on, or cacao powder even. Usually when you transport it, it's very hard to disinfect those. And especially in the tropical climate here in Indonesia, these powders can get very easily moldy or can catch bacteria. And during the long shipment, during the long transportation, by the time they arrive at the Rotterdam port, because that's where most of the Indonesian producers are shipped, then most probably and mostly like around nearly 10-15% of the producers are already fold or have an issue which makes that their quality is not 100% and they cannot be sold 100%. And the other thing is that in Europe and in a lot of other countries, for example, spices cannot be put on the market if they are not irradiated. And now we come to the fact, what is irradiation and how it helps this problem? Irradiation is a special nuclear radiation, which when we use, for example, cacao powder, or let's say cinnamon powder, and there is a irradiation facility, it's a special facility, a huge building, where you put these fruits, spices, or even medical equipments or some other equipments where the surface would be very, very hard to disinfect. You put it inside and it travels in some automatic lines into this facility and it gets a nuclear radiation. This radiation is very, very low and very specific, which is not bad for your own health. But it's exactly the amount which kills all the germs, bacteria, and mold on the surface of the products or of the equipment which you put inside it. And then when it comes out, these germs and bacteria are killed and you can immediately package and ship. And this way it will guarantee that 99.9% of the producers arriving in the Rotterdam harbor will be the same 100% quality as expected. And also you don't need to do the irradiation there anymore. So it not only saves on costs, but it also brings in more profit for Indonesia. And this project is also a very good example to showcase how we work, because for this specific facility, which was open in 2017, Hungary was the one bringing in the technology. Because as you saw it in the video, we are a very, very diverse country. But what we are very, very famous for is our brains, our innovative thinking, and a lot of innovations honestly come from Hungary. If you compare the numbers of the population, 10 million, we are a 10 million nation, but we have 14 Nobel Prize winners. And we are a very competitive nation. So also when it comes to the Olympics, usually we are among the top 5 countries when you prepare population and GDP ratio in terms of gold medals. Because when you compare it with that, then we are always there in the top 5 because we are super competitive. A lot of things which you might not be aware of, but the ballpoint pen, the computer, and also the binary language of computers, and a lot of other things were invented by Hungarians. Vitamin C was invented by a Hungarian, which we use right now, and I hope all of you are taking it in protection of Corona right now, because we need to boost our immune systems. So this was all invented by Hungarians. And that's why when it comes to our relationship with Indonesia, what we are looking for is not traditional business relationship. We are not there to give you full box solutions, but we are bringing you a technology, and we work with Indonesian partners together to make it work here in Indonesia. And why I mentioned it in relation to the irradiation facility, because here we were very strongly cooperating with Batam, which is the nuclear agency of Indonesia. And they were the ones building up, working on the whole project. And if you look from the project size, only 10% was part of the project, which was coming from Hungary. But actually that was the technology itself. And although, like, of course, when we look at numbers and And the project itself, this is not a big chunk, but without this 10%, it wouldn't have had happened. And for us, this is the key, how we operate and how we work in Indonesia, and how we figured out to boost our relations even stronger. And that's why you see that I hope that you see it, that in the past couple of years, you hear more and more about Hungary, because we have more and more relationships. After the irradiation, another huge project was that we launched Hun Indo Tech together. Based on this knowledge that technology is what binds us together, we started this platform where we connected Hungarian and Indonesian companies which are looking for technological partnerships, because most of the Hungarian companies brought in the technologies, and we had Indonesian IT or other companies which were looking for new ways of technologies which can be adapted to Indonesia and which can be used. And there we established, first of all, one business forum back in 2018, and we did a huge event as well. And then, of course, after Corona last year, we had it in a virtual platform. And right now we also have a homepage, hunindotag.id, where you can check out all the Indonesian and Hungarian companies which are already in collaboration and which are working together. Just to mention you one other thing, which is like, it's a smaller project, but it's very worth to see in what things we are good. There is, for example, a special Hungarian company which is specializing in measuring the healthiness of trees, which is very, very important. They have a special measurement which they put around the trunk of a tree, and the sensors measure how healthy the tree is, how likely it is, for example, when there is a thunderstorm or a heavy rain, what happens quite often in Jakarta, how easy it is for the tree to fall off and to cause, like, I don't know, damage into cars and so on. And they can measure how healthy the trees are. And this technology was used by DKI Jakarta to work on a lot of huge trees here in the parks of the city, because of course this technology is more than needed here in Indonesia. When it comes to other things, and let me just mention some others, is that of course I already mentioned IT. In IT we have exceptional companies, and we also have an investment from Indonesia to Hungary, because Indonesia Telkom invested into Telum Global, which is a special fintech company. And since then, they are cooperating with Telkom on several fintech solutions. Right now, I think one of the biggest projects, which was recently announced in January, and which I cannot not mention because it's one of the biggest achievements and the biggest technological exports of Hungary, is that starting from next year, there will be a new toll collecting system on Indonesian toll roads, namely the multi-lane free flow. And this system will be brought to you due to Hungarian technology. That's again something which, honestly, as an ambassador, this is one thing. You need to learn all the technical details, and every project which we are involved in, I need to learn about it. And at first it sounded to me always the same way, very, very strange, like I'm sure some of these topics sound to you as well. But in the meantime, working with those, I learned a lot. And right now I'm really feeling like in some of the topics, I became at least a bit like an expert. So, and I will try to make you today also a bit of experts in these technologies and these fields, and of course, little experts of Hungary. And I'm really looking forward to answer to all of your questions. But before that, I will right now try to explain to you the multi-lane free flow system, because you will meet with it all hopefully from next year. So right now, when you are using the toll roads of Indonesia, you are used to that you go there and there is a physical barrier. There is a toll plaza where right now, although you can use your e-money or your onboard unit, which is quite quick, but still you need to slow down, show it, then the barrier opens, then you can go through. Multi-lane free flow means that there will be no toll plazas at all, no stopping. You will not even recognize it that you are entering a toll road, but it's the free flow of traffic in multi-lanes in all of the lanes. This means that in the future, you will only need to download an application to your phone. You need to register your account and your card. And later on, your phone, as smart as they are, will recognize that you are using the toll road from the GPS data that you entered the toll road, and it will automatically deduct from your account the payment for the toll road usage. So this will be happening in the background completely automatically, and you will not even feel it, not even sense it. It's just you need to remember to always upload your account and to have a stable balance that you can use the toll roads. But it will be a very easy system, and we hope that with this we can contribute to less machete and less air pollution on the toll roads of Indonesia. So that's one of the biggest projects which we achieved in the recent past. And right now, based on that, we are working on the Indonesian-Hungarian investment fund. I'm sure some of you who are interested in politics and economics know about it, that Indonesia is very keen on establishing the sovereign wealth fund. And beside of that, Indonesia is also cooperating with some countries like Saudi Arabia, US, Japan, Australia, and also with Hungary to establish several bilateral funds. And in our case, it would be the Indonesian-Hungarian Investment Fund, which will mostly finance Indonesian infrastructural projects. And that's what we are right now working on to finalize this agreement. And I think then we can move forward. That's basically about our business relations, which is why I spoke about it so long, is that this is basically the main and most important topic right now of our relations. And as you might be aware also, for President Jokowi and Ibu Retno, when it comes to foreign policy, they are always very strongly stressing the target of business relations and economic diplomacy. And this is definitely also in the field. When we are speaking of diplomatic relations, then this is the most important what we are discussing. When it comes to people-to-people relations, I think in the past years before the pandemic, we really saw numbers that people-to-people relations between Indonesia and Hungary were getting better and better, which means that in terms of visa issuance, we saw that 3 times the amount of Indonesians are traveling to Hungary than 1 year prior. This was still in 2019, although, and of course, 2020 and COVID is not allowing right now so much travel. But I hope that through these virtual occasions, I can bring you Hungary a bit more closer. And I hope that after it, when it will be again allowed to travel, you will be able to visit our beautiful country. So there is definitely a growing interest. Also from Hungarian side, we saw more and more tourists coming to Indonesia. And the good thing is that they are not only coming to Bali, but they are also coming to other places, to Jakarta, to Yogyakarta, to Lake Toba, and also to other destinations. And we also see that in terms of educational relations between universities, more and more connections are established. And this is partly due to the fact that Hungary is offering a very, very good scholarship program. I'm sure during the European Education Fair, you could already check out what possibilities we have. But just to mention to you again, that Hungary is offering each and every year 100 places fully sponsored by the Hungarian government to study in Hungary in different fields, which you can pick for yourself. And it's both for bachelor and master and for PhD students as well. And the scholarship covers the full tuition fee and living costs in Hungary. And with this, we see that although we started in 2016 with 50 places, we needed to raise the number to 100 places in 2019. And right now, for those 100 places, we had over 3,000 applicants. So it's very, very popular, but it's absolutely worth trying because everything is interconnected. And right now we have a lot of Indonesians who were studying in Hungary, working on Hungarian projects in Indonesia or in Hungarian companies in Hungary, but they stayed in the Hungarian-Indonesian relations. And especially like, for example, Indonesia is offering the Dharma Siswa scholarship. And a lot of Hungarian students always love to come on that. Right now at our embassy, we have 3 people, 3 diplomats who've taken part in the Dharma Siswa scholarship and who speak fluent Bahasa, much better than I do. And also in KBRI in Budapest at the Indonesian embassy, we have usually 1 or 2 people who were with Dharma Siswa in Indonesia. So you see that these kinds of educational relations, scholarships, and studying in other countries and having the connection is all actually linked to businesses and to the business world as well. And there is always a very good way to make this even more worse than it is anyway to study abroad. And I think this is a very good example for that. And I hope that in the future there will be even stronger ties. And I hope that some of you will be involved in some Hungarian activities in the future. And I think with further ado, I will give over the word to Cindy, and I'm really looking forward to all the questions. And please feel free to ask anything. I haven't involved too many personal aspects of being an ambassador in Indonesia, and I haven't involved too many aspects of Hungary, but I'm rather curious of your questions, and I'm really happy to answer them all, no matter what topics they are from. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for your detailed presentation. I hope by the end of our session today, we all become mini experts on Hungary. Following up from your earlier presentation, you said that Hungarians are brilliant and competitive, and they came up with so many genius inventions. So we have a question from Dicky from Central Java. He says, Hungary is a country with a high literacy rate. So how does the government, what are the government policies to increase the literacy rate?
Okay, basically for us, it's obligatory to go to school, and schooling is obligatory until the age of 17, 18. So you cannot really avoid it. And as mentioned before, Hungary has one advantage compared to Indonesia, that we are only a 10 million country and we are a landlocked country. So for us, we have a very, very strong administrative system, and especially we are very strong in e-government. As I mentioned, IT and everything, it definitely is also in there. So in Hungary, when you are born and each and every one is registered, and all the systems, if you think of it, are connected. So your health insurance is connected with your tax. Your tax is connected not only with your employer, but with all your bank accounts and so on, and your personal social security number and your ID number and your driving license and everything, every licenses and each registration is interlocked. So if you are a child, you will immediately get administered. They will see that if you become 6 years old and you are not enrolled to school, the social workers will immediately visit the family and check what the issue is, and when the child will not be enrolled into school, and when the child will not finish schooling until their age of 17 or 18, then social workers will take the child away from the family and will ensure that it gets education. This is the minimum. So it's a very, very strict policy on that, which is of course aided due to this central administrative system where we see basically everything in it. And it makes control of this and also of any other movements very, very easy, and which makes it also for the population much easier to organize our things, to make our tax papers or anything else. If my driving license is already finished, then I can easily online order a new one. If I need a new ID card, if I need a passport or something, everything is in one complex, very, very secure online administrative system, which makes it both for the users, for the population, very easy to use, but also for the government, much, much easier to check if you are like evading taxes or if you are evading school.
Thank you, Ambassador. Another question from Wanda from Bandung. She says, wow, I didn't know Hungarians invented so many things. What would you say is your personal favorite Hungarian invention?
Oh my God, that's really hard to say. I think definitely for me are, especially right now, which is very important. And during Corona, it came back more and more that, for example, Ignác Semmelweis was the first Hungarian doctor who were called back in Hungary the savior of women, because before his time, no one was aware of the fact of infections. And during childbirth, because no one was washing their hands, no one was thinking of sterility. Most of the mothers after birth, or it happened in a lot of cases, died into so-called childbed disease. Because of course, during the course of birth, the wounds and everything got infected. And because these infections were not treated, this caused then fever, and this was called this childbed fever, which took a lot of mothers away. Ignác Semmelweis was the first European doctor who introduced in his clinics and in his, I wouldn't call them clinics because back then we are not speaking of clinics, but he established in his medical institutions that he made it clear that everyone needed to wash their hands. And he was the first doctor who emphasized the importance of sterility and to hand washing. I think this was a huge invention, and back then a lot of other doctors claimed that he is not right, that this cannot be, this is such an easy procedure, this is not causing so many illnesses. But time by time, it went through. And right now it's due to him that we know how important washing our hands is. And I think in times like these, if I need to mention one, then I think this invention was very important, and also because it saved the life of a lot of women and in general of a lot of people, and it helped the medicine industry to move much, much in a different direction and realize this issue much earlier.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Speaking of women and mothers, we have a question from Siti Nurhaliza from FPCI Unhas, which is in Makassar. She says, regarding women empowerment in Hungary, what kind of initiatives that Hungary have already taken in place to support working moms and women's education?
I think for us right now, when it comes to family, we have very, very strong policies in place. And why is that? It's not only in the number of population where we are different from Indonesia, but it's also in the age of our population. Whereas Indonesia is a very, very young population. You have a lot of kids And usually in the families, the average is that at least 2-3 kids are there. While in Hungary and in Europe, we are facing the issue of overaging society. This means that usually in our case, the population is much, much older, which causes a huge issue because the number of workforce is shrinking. We have a lot of elderly people, very few young people, and the number with this in line, the number of the working population is getting smaller and smaller. And of course, this is an issue which we need to solve, because if this goes on, there is a tendency that the Hungarian nation, but also each and every other European nation, if you look at all the European countries, the population is overaged, that we are basically disappearing. It's very drastic to say that, but that's the case, that the population is, the original Hungarian population is getting less and less. So, and it's partly due to the fact that a lot of young couples are not having kids, or at least it's a difficult decision to have kids, because especially when you need to balance family and kids, it gets to a very complicated decision, which in a lot of cases results in the fact that they rather don't choose to have kids. And the Hungarian government in the recent years put a great emphasis on that to support young families. For example, what we have right now intact is that when you get married, you immediately can apply for a special support to buy your own apartment or house. You get like a lot of subsidies. You don't need to pay interest rates, and you can easily buy a new apartment for yourself to settle with your partner. You just need to kind of promise that you will have kids in the coming 2, 3, 4 years. And depending how many kids you promise, the more subsidies you get. Also for mothers, the return to work was made much, much easier in the coming years. And there are also a lot of subsidies related to that. For example, if you are a mother of 3 to 4 kids, you don't need to pay taxes. If you get pregnant, then your workplace has the obligation to take you back after childbirth, so they cannot let you go only due to the fact that you got pregnant and that you are falling out of work for a couple of months. So these are the situations which we hope that will make it easier for young mothers, and especially for young families, to get established. And I think in this regard we are doing quite well. In terms of women empowerment, of course, it's and I'm a big advocate for this. Being a young female leader, I still see that with all the regulations and all the support, I still have to say that women have it much more harder, not only in Hungary, but also in Indonesia and all around the world. And there are still in some places, there are still glass ceilings, and there are still difficulties and issues which we need to face. And I think it's not only in several countries, but basically in all of the countries, that there still is a lot of room to do in terms of women empowerment. Especially to support young women in believing themselves, because what I see in a lot of cases, that although the support system is there, girls themselves don't believe in themselves. And let me tell you a very interesting story, especially to the girls here right now with us. Usually it is the fact that a man or a boy working in a team feels much earlier entitled to a promotion and feels much more comfortable to ask for a promotion than a woman or a girl would. I experienced this on myself. I read about it a lot of times, but I experienced it on myself when I was leading a team of young girls and boys. Each and every one of them were very, very talented. And it was a small team, let's say of 5, and one of them was was a man who was like, I would say he was good, he was okay, but usually during meeting, his work was the one which I had most of the criticism about. I had a woman who was like really very much talented, and usually she was the one whom I praised. And she was the one who really did her job very, very exceptional. And when I was away, she was the one whom I gave the most important tasks to. And guess what happened after like around 1 year of working with them? The guy is coming into my office telling me that, now I'm working for you 1 year. I really think that now it's the time for me to get a promotion, and I really think I would deserve a higher salary. And I was thinking like, okay, let me give it a thought. And then I was thinking about, okay, restructuring, but I was like thinking that, okay, I will appoint a deputy head of department, but I would rather appoint the woman who is, in my point of view and professionally and everything, much more and much better in this subject. And I called her in and I told her like, look, I really want you to become deputy head of the department because you are doing a great job. And guess what her answer was? Oh, I'm not sure I'm feeling ready. Maybe I still need to practice some more. Do you really think I would be able to do this? I'm so afraid. I think I would still need 1-2 years of practice. And then I realized, and later on, I experienced this in a lot of fields, and I read about this, that we girls and women, we are always unsatisfied with our own performance. And we need to be much more confident, much more active in pursuing our dreams, because no one will really give it to us. And especially if you want to work in leading positions, you have to fight for it. Not the same way like men fight, because this is also something very important that I think, and now I'm already switching into my women leadership thing, but it's very important to stay authentic, that you don't need to fight like men, but you need to fight like women with your own sensitivity, with your own intuition, and to really stand up for it. That yes, we make a lot of our decisions with intuition, and they are great, because women have a much higher intuition than men have, than that we can handle. We are much more better multitaskers as they are, and this is proven. There are physiological and several tests that's exactly how they are. So you don't need to be the same way like your men colleagues are, but you need to be yourself, but definitely more brave and more willing to accept the challenge, because I'm sure that that you are worth it. So this is it gone a bit too far, but I hope I answered your questions. Sorry, this is just one of my favorite topics to talk about, and I do a lot of women empowerment sessions. So I'm happy to talk about this even longer if I get some more questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Ambassador, for that inspiring answer. So still on women empowerment, we have a question from Fanny from Makassar. She says, good afternoon, Miss Ambassador. How do you see yourself as a woman ambassador in a mostly male-dominated field? And can you maybe share a little bit about your journey in becoming an ambassador?
That's a very interesting question. First of all, about my journey, it's also very, very typical. I was not asking for it, but I was suggested to become an ambassador. I'm definitely a political appointee, and I say definitely because I'm very, very young to be an ambassador, and this is very unexceptional. I became an ambassador because previously I was working directly with the Prime Minister together. I was working on his international communication team, and he was the one actually who had the idea that I should become an ambassador. And when our back then to become foreign minister suggested me that you should be the ambassador, I thought he's joking, because it was such a funny thing that I was like, yeah, sure, of course, with 31 years and young female, you are for sure joking. And then the next day he came in and he told me that, yeah, this is our prime minister said he supports you, so you should go. I'm like, okay. So and this is basically how I was always studying international relations. I was always connected to international relations. And it was, I wouldn't lie to you, it was partly due to luck and to connection that I started my career working at the presidential office back then. And I had very, very good colleagues who were supporting me in getting the spotlight and getting out there. And I was only 25 when I became the spokesperson of the president, and I was traveling with him abroad. And that's why in 2008 I was for the first time in Indonesia, and I met back then President SBY. And that's when I first become to like Indonesia and Southeast Asia very, very much. So it was due to that's where my career started, and from that I stayed in this field, and I led the communication campaign of one of our big EU development campaigns, the EU funding campaigns in Hungary, and then later on I worked with the Prime Minister. And since he's in our system, he is the head of government. And as I mentioned, he was the one appointing me. So that's how I became an ambassador. But of course, there were a lot of doubts. And when he nominated me, there were a lot of newspaper articles claiming that what a funny choice this is to send a young girl to the biggest Muslim country, and how will this work out? And it seems that it worked out quite well. The Prime Minister came to visit 2 times, which is very rare. He came after 1 year, and he was very openly saying that he's checking on me on how I'm doing. And he said that, okay, it seems like it was a good choice. And especially now with all the results which I mentioned in the business field, it turned out to be a good decision. And right now also in our diplomacy, a lot of things changed. Right now, ambassadors are more picked on their achievements. And as I mentioned to you, like as in Indonesia as well, in Hungary, we have very strong targets that as in a corporate world, as an ambassador, we need to perform. If we are not performing correctly, if we are not bringing the numbers, if we are not bringing in business relations and so on, then our postings are not secured and we can be overrode and changed. So so this is basically about my career path and how it went and how I'm feeling as a female ambassador. It's a really good question. First of all, it's at the beginning, it was very intimidating. And of course, I was very much afraid because you have all the gentlemen, definitely with a lot of knowledge, with a lot of international experience, who are like mature and know all the way how it goes. And there you go, the little blonde who is just looking around and getting accustomed to everything. But here it was also very important for me to believe in myself and to know that I'm here for a reason. And honestly, it's actually something much, much better than expected, because in this way, and don't forget it when you think of your own career and your own stepping forward, because it's very easy to spot me. Even if right now you look at the ambassador talks, the big picture of all the ambassadors, I'm sure you will be very easy to spot me because I'm the only young blonde female. And when you look at a joint group of EU ambassadors or altogether ambassadors, if you open up a magazine or something, you will for sure be able to know that the young blonde girl is the Hungarian ambassador. Whereas I'm maybe the other ones who are like the usual kind. I'm sure my colleagues will not take it as an offense, but usually you picture an ambassador like a 50, 60-year-old male in dark blue or like dark gray and black suit. And especially most of them look for, and I'm sure for you as well, but for me, sometimes they were very similar and it's very hard to distinguish them. And then when you have someone who is like optically very much stepping out of the group, that's easy to remember. And in my job, especially, that's the most important, that people remember you, people know who you are, that you can make networks and connections. And in this way, I think it was very, very good and very, very useful. Also because it gave me another connection. Because as I mentioned, in our field in diplomacy, networking and connection is very important. And for example, I had 2 entry points. I could speak with the ministers, with the business leaders, with the men, but I could also join the afternoon events with the ladies, and I can speak with their wives and with their daughters. And I'm sure I not need to tell you that we have this saying that behind every successful man, there is a very strong woman. That mostly these 2 way of connections helped me a lot to establish and to learn more about the situations in Indonesia, to get things done, and also to understand situations better. So I think in this regard that I'm a young female ambassador proved really, really much more helpful than accepted. And actually it was a big, big benefit, and absolutely not a handicap as expected. And again, just a fun fact, right now it turned out that it seems so successful that our prime minister and our foreign minister appointed young female ambassadors all over Southeast Asia. So right now we have a similar young female ambassador in Malaysia and also in Philippines. And I will finish my tenure in Indonesia this summer. I will move to Singapore as an ambassador, and my successor will be also a very, very young female, and I'm sure she'll be also very much enthusiastic about it.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for sharing that story with us. And we're sad to hear that you will be leaving us soon, but we wish you all the best and all the success in Singapore. And again, thank you for sharing your story right now in our audience. I'm sure that we have a lot of international relations students, young women. So your story was definitely, I believe, very beneficial for them and inspiring for them. Maybe one day they can be the future Ratno Marsudis of Indonesia. So moving on to our next question, we have Rex from Bali. He's asking, can you tell me more about Indonesia-Hungary relations at the moment? So what kind of cooperation do we have right now?
Right now, as I mentioned, the biggest one is what we are working on is the implementation of the multi-lane free flow system when it comes to businesses. The other one is, as I also mentioned, the establishment of the Indonesian-Hungarian Investment Fund. That's also one thing. What else I can mention is that we are working on a memorandum of understanding in terms of cybersecurity, because we are looking for a cooperation there as well. That's also related to IT. The other thing, what we are working on is the special vocational training program, because Hungary has a very advanced vocational training system. And we are looking into ways to link this with Indonesia so that students who are coming here out of polytechnics could go to Hungary, to Hungarian manufacturing companies and technology companies to have their practitioner years there in Hungary and then return to Indonesia with European Union certificates, and that they can have here then a higher qualification later on. This is also a very important project which we are working on. We are still boosting and promoting a lot of events in relation to Hunin.tech. So it's a constant work of us to link Hungarian technologies and companies with Indonesian ones. We have a special trade department which is run in our embassy by 3 people, and they are day and night working on the fact to have Hungarian companies linked with Indonesians, and there we have a lot of good projects in the working. We are working with Airnav Indonesia to help to establish secure flying protocols, and to work with the Indonesian Ministry of Transportation together on remote tower control and also on flight route optimization. So this is also something which we are active in. In terms of agro-technology, we are also there in cooperation and in further discussions. With the irradiation and nuclear radiation technology, we are working together with the university in Jakarta, where they have a special unit which is for research purposes. And we are also planning to make new irradiation facilities in Medan and in 2 other locations throughout Indonesia. And I hope I haven't missed out anything, but there are a lot of projects which we are working on at the moment, and there is a lot going on in Hungarian-Indonesian relations. And yeah, just tomorrow we will have another meeting with BMKG, because we are working there to establish a new system of meteorological sensors, which can detect better the weather conditions of Indonesia. And this might be also established with Hungarian together. We will have the meeting tomorrow. So let's see. We are also working with the Ministry of Village. Oh my God, a lot of projects going on. But basically, I think this gives you the outline.
Thank you for that detailed answer, Ambassador. Now, Ambassador, you've been here for several years, so I'm sure you've tried a lot of Indonesian cuisine. So Rifki from Jakarta wants to ask, dear Ambassador Judit, what is your favorite Indonesian food? And what is your favorite food from Hungary?
Okay, Indonesian food, my favorite is definitely kangkung, which might sound strange. I'm a vegan, so that means that I'm not eating anything derived from animals. I'm also not wearing anything, so I'm completely trying to live a cruelty-free life. So, and I really love the Indonesian cuisine, that you have so many vegetable dishes. I love tahu and tempe, and of course, like kangkung and oseng-oseng genjer is also a very big favorite of mine. Gudeg and all the jackfruit curries and everything like that. And also the sweets, I like very much kalopon. Also, I don't really like sweet things, but kalopon I really like because of the fresh coconut and everything. So, and definitely kelapa muda is my absolute must-have. I need to have always fresh coconut water in my fridge, and really the fresh one from the local sellers from the street. That's a big favorite of mine. And altogether, I love the Indonesian cuisine, and especially because it's spicy. Because Hungarians also eat spicy. In the Hungarian kitchen, one of my favorite is called lecho, which is a special stew made with paprika, tomatoes, and a special paprika powder. Because in Hungary we use the same kind of csabbé, or not the same, but it's very similar, and it can be very hot, and it's a very special taste of paprika powder which we use. And we even have the same type of sambal, which is like crushed and cooked paprika, but it's much more salty. And Hungarians used to use it the same way like Indonesians use sambal. So definitely spicy food and lecho. And if you are interested in that, then I think it will be tomorrow on EU's channel, because I also did a little cooking show showing you how to do Hungarian lecho. So you can try it out at home as well.
Thank you, Ambassador. I will be sure to check that out. Now, we have a question from Nenes Istikoma from Ostrach, Germany. She says that she would like to know if there are any specific museums or historical places that she can go to if she wants to study about the history of Hungary.
Oh my God, there are a lot. And also a lot of museums right now offer virtual tours and virtual experiences, especially because right now it's not easy to travel. You can check out the Hungarian National Museum. If you Google it, I'm sure you will find it. And there you will have a lot of very nice exhibitions about Hungarian history and Hungarian culture. And there are also several other museums, like the Museum of Fine Arts and sorry, and also like other museums, the House of Terror, which is a very special historical museum dealing with the terrors of the Second World War, and then also during the communist regime, which shows very much how people were suffering during those two regimes and what horrible crimes have been committed. And I think this is a very important part of our history, which is worth looking up. But definitely for a general understanding, I would suggest the Hungarian National History Museum.
All right, thank you, Ambassador. We have an interesting question from Fatima, who is from Padang. Hello, Ambassador. I want to ask about dance culture in Hungary. As you may know, there's a classical piece called the Hungarian dance. So I wonder what's unique or special about dance in Hungary that Brahms, a German composer, was inspired to make a symphony out of it.
I think it's the rhythm and it's the special sound, as you have experienced some of that in the starting video. Depending to what region you go, you will see different dances. It's a lot of turning around, and you saw the huge skirts of the ladies who are like, when you are turning around, the skirts are lifting and like shaking around you. That's very, very common in Hungary. And you will also see that, which is common in Central Europe, that the boys would clap a lot and clap their boots, and the women will from time to time shriek and in the rhythm of the music. In general, Hungarian music and Hungarian dances are really very, very emotional, as I think usually in folk songs, but they are also very dynamic. As you also, if you listen to Brahms, you will see that it's very dynamic. The violin plays a very, very important role. But in general, they are very sentimental, and usually they are, of course, as always, something in reference to a love story. So that's about Hungarian dances, but you should really check them out on the internet. And very important is also the dress. The embroidery. Hungarian embroidery is really beautiful. And if you want to see a Hungarian embroidery in Jakarta, there is one fashion designer, and their brand is producing a fusion of batik and Hungarian embroidery, Batik Amaryllis, because she got so infatuated and so fell in love with the Hungarian embroidery that she's using the pattern in her batik styles. And it's a very, very nice fusion design, which I'm also wearing a lot of times.
All right, thank you, Ambassador. Another interesting question is from Rifki from Ciputat. He says, Ambassador, is it true that 96 is a magic number in Hungary? And why so? Could you explain about that?
Oh my God, now you are telling me something new. I was not aware of that. I don't know. I have no idea, Rifki, where you read it. I was not aware of that. Either you can tell me or I will need to check it out. I was not aware of it.
All right, thank you. We have another question from Emanuela, who is from Jambi. I would love to learn why Hungary's new constitution deleted the word republic from its official name in 2012.
It's partly related to the connection of the communist regime, because you need to see that for Hungary, after the Second World War, Hungary became a country, although independent, but we were very strongly influenced by the Soviet Union. And we needed to implement the communist regime, which caused a lot of suffering. And it was a very, very dark chapter in the history of our country. And this was also the reason why Central Europe developed so slowly compared to Western Europe, because we were not a capital market economy only up until the 90s. So we started to be a normal, usual market economy starting from year 1989, which is, of course, a very, very huge lack which we had, and this made us a lot of problems. And it was during the communist era that they stressed that Hungary is a republic, because communism is in a lot of cases very much linked to a very strong democratic republican feeling. And for us, this name and the name of the country, like the Republic of Hungary, this for us had this connotation going back to the name which was kind of like given to us during this era. So it took us in 2001, when we had the majority in parliament, we changed the constitutions, because until then we had an interim constitution. We made a final constitution in which we changed the name of the country to only Hungary, because that's like, for us, that's closer to our hearts.
All right, thank you, Ambassador. Just a few more questions before we close. This is from Fita from Central Java. She is asking, in what sector has the high impact on the economy in Hungary?
I think the highest sector is the industry. Of course, the lowest is the agrarian sector. And the second most important is manufacturing and the industrial sector. As mentioned, we have the highest FDI. And if you imagine, in Hungary, we have the three biggest automotive companies: Audi, Mercedes, and also BMW have plants in Hungary. And they are not only doing the assembly, but they are doing the research and technology there. So this is a huge part, and we have Indian Tata and a lot of manufacturing industries there. So that's definitely one of the most important parts.
All right, thank you. The next question is from Yujay from Bukit Tinggi. He says, why is the Hungarian language very complicated and different from other European languages? Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, the Hungarian language is still until now a big phenomenon among linguists, and there is still not a final theory how it developed and how it is, because it's not related to the Slavic, not related to the Latin languages. It's not related to anything in common. And it's by a lot of scientists, it's approved that it's one of the hardest languages in the world to learn. It's really super complicated. And one of the theories is that we moved from the eastern part of the Ural Mountains, and that we might came together with the northern tribes of the Finnish, for example. But this is proven by some common words which we have. But this is a theory right now which they are basically disregarding or starting to disregard, because just the similarity of words is not enough. But actually, some of the professors prove a linkage between the Hungarian language with Tibet and with the Himalayan region, because the grammatical structure of the language is so complex that it's more linked to that one. But honestly, no one can really tell, but it is definitely a very, very hard language. I will give you just one very quick example. In most of the languages, if you say, I love you, it's usually like 3 words, I love you. Or even in Indonesia, aku cintaku, it's like you have the little difference at the end. But in Hungary, it's only 1 word. It's called szeretlek. And the ending, like you would put ku at the end, means you. In Hungary, you would put everything at the end of the word, that I and you. And if I just change it with 1 T, it would mean that I have loved you, I don't love you anymore. Or that I would love you, or that I will love you. And this is only expressed at the end of the word. And that's what makes it really, really hard to learn and to understand Hungarian.
All right, that's very interesting. Thank you, Ambassador. Okay, still a few more questions. This is from Isabella from Jakarta. She says, what do you miss the most from Hungary that is different from Indonesia?
That's a tough question. Actually, not much. I love to live here. That's why I will be staying on in Singapore, because what I definitely don't miss is the winter and the snow. I love the constant tropical country of Indonesia. So that's what I'm definitely not missing. I think what I miss is from time to time, of course, my friends and family, and especially right now in COVID times, it's very hard that they cannot travel, and this is the only thing what I'm really missing, that they cannot be as close to me as I want them to, and I cannot meet up with my parents and my brother and his family as often as I wish to.
All right, thank you, Ambassador. The second to last question, this is from Rian from Northern Sumatra University. He says Budapest Festival is one of Hungary's oldest festivals and happens in March every year, attracting artists from all over the world. So what is the music scene like in Hungary, and how is it going during the pandemic? Sorry, Mr.
Yeah. Oh my God, the music scene is incredible. Thinking of classical coming to modern as well. We have a lot of not only inventors, but we have amazing musicians and composers. If you think of Bartók, Kodai, and also others. And we have amazing classical, the Classical Philharmonical Orchestra. And as you mentioned, the Spring Festival is a huge classical music event. And we still have up until now a lot of great musicians who are performing, but also more into the jazz culture or into modern music. There are a lot of also other festivals, like you saw on the video. Sziget Festival is one of the biggest party and pop and any kind of genre music festival which is happening each and every year. Of course, with the pandemic right now, it's harder. Hungary is right now at the phase that we vaccinated 40% of the population. And right now we plan that by the summer, by June, July, we will reach herd immunity. And we will try to open up and already starting slowly to organize some of these festivals and some of the events, and also some of the music events.
All right, thank you, Ambassador. And our last question, I saved this for last as it highlights our theme. So this is from Wahyu from Jakarta. He says, I'm always fascinated by the strong and solid community of the EU. Since you're celebrating Europe Day, can you tell me what the EU means to you? And is there any special celebration for Europe Day in Hungary?
Oh my God, the EU means a lot to us, especially to Hungarians. And partly also because, as I mentioned, to our history with the communist era. For us, becoming part of the European Union was like a step to be accepted into this European family. Right now, for us, it also means that we are members of the family, and that as such, we fight from time to time, and we are all sovereign members, and we all have our points and agendas. But at the end, we work together and we strive together, and we strongly believe in this family of the EU. Although we also believe in it, that from time to time we need to criticize and we need to also raise the issues which are important to us. But for us, the EU is still a very, very strong fundament and a very strong union, which we are proud members of. And we do strongly believe in a fair EU and in a good partnership in that. And of course, there will be some celebrations in Budapest as well. And as you see, I'm also intensively and extensively participating in all the EU events here in Jakarta in cooking. And you can see us reading fairy tales and giving you, actually, there is also, if you check out our Facebook page, Embassy of Hungary in Jakarta, you will find some Hungarian language lessons there as well. So we are extensively participating, and a great opportunity.
Sorry, Ambassador, I think we're losing the connection.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Now it's okay? Okay.
Now it's okay.
So I was just concluding that, that we're intensively cooperating right now in the EU Day here in Jakarta as well. And of course, there will be some celebrations in Budapest as well. And we from Hungarian part, we still strongly believe in this family of EU.
All right, thank you, Ambassador. Now, we actually have many questions still lined up, but unfortunately, due to time constraints, we can't take them all. But I'd like to give a big thank you to Ambassador Judit Pach for answering all the questions today, and of course, to all the participants for your questions. We had a very insightful discussion, and I believe that at least we all have become mini experts of Hungary now. So before we close, we have prepared a fun quiz for the audience today. And if you answer the questions correctly and quickly, you will be receiving a goodie bag with gifts and prizes. So Ambassador Judit, you are most welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to leave if you have another agenda after this. So perhaps if you would like to deliver any closing statements, Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure to be here, and I was very, very happy to answer your questions. I'm sorry we couldn't answer anything, but I hope we can continue somehow in another forum or at another time and space. And I wish you all a great day. Unfortunately, I need to join another meeting, so I won't be able to join for your quiz. I'm joining the Indonesian Hungarian Investment Fund Working Group, so I hope you take this as a good excuse. And it was really a pleasure being here. Thank you all for joining us. Keep following us on Facebook and also myself on Twitter, Dubas Hongaria, or Embassy of Hungary in Jakarta on Facebook, and hope to stay in touch with all of you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Cindy, for the excellent moderation, and for FPCI and the EU delegation for organizing this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. We loved having you as our speaker today, and we hope to see you again in a future event.
Thank you. Bye.
So I will move on with the quiz. So ladies and gentlemen, we will be using the Kahoot platform, and it's very easy. So let me just read out the instructions before we start. Firstly, please use a second screen or a second device, and do not close your YouTube tab. So to join the game, you can open another tab and go to www.kahoot.it. So make sure that's India Tango IT, not ID, India Delta. And then secondly, you can enter the game pin, which is displayed on your screen. And the game pin for today's game is 944517. Please use your order confirmation number as the nickname. And the order confirmation number can be found on your ticket in the email sent to you by Eventbrite. And we highly suggest focusing your attention on the quiz. So on your second screen on the second tab instead of the YouTube live stream, as there might be a slight delay on YouTube. And at the end of the Kahoot quiz, there will be 3 winners that will get prizes from the European Union. So if you are one of the winners, make sure to take a screenshot as a proof of winning and immediately contact our staff after the quiz to claim your prize by sending a direct message to @FPCIndo on Instagram and providing your personal details and the screenshot of your Kahoot page. Now we will give some time to wait for more players. So that's the game pin is 944517, and you can join in with your username with your order confirmation number that is on your email. And whenever we're ready, we will start. Please do make sure to use your order confirmation number, and you can find that on your email. Okay. Make sure to focus on your quiz. The first question is, what are the colors of the Hungarian flag? Is it red and white? Is it yellow, blue, and white? Is it red, white, and green? Or is it red, blue, and white? Make sure to answer quick so that you get the most points. And the answer is red, white, and green. Second question, which year was Hungary founded? Was it in the year 1000, 1945, 1848, or 1686? 6 seconds left. Make sure to lock in your answer as quick as possible. And the correct answer is 1000. That's a nice number, 1000. All right, so third question is, which Hungarian composer wrote the music piece with the title From the Island of Bali? Yes, I will not try to pronounce those names, but go ahead and lock in your answer. And the answer is Bela Bartok. Fourth question, we're halfway there. Which item from the list below was invented or discovered by Hungarians? Is it vitamin C, the Rubik's Cube, the ballpoint pen, or all of the above? This was definitely mentioned in Ambassador Judit's presentation earlier. It's all of the above. Fifth question, when did Hungary and Indonesia establish diplomatic ties? Was it in 1945, 1955, 1965, or 1975? 5 seconds left. And the answer is 1955. Sixth question, which Indonesian movie was filmed in Hungary? Was it Surga Yang Tak Dirindukan 2, Gundala, Laskar Pelangi, or Filosofi Kopi? 5 seconds left. And it was Surga Yang Tak Dirindukan. Seventh question, what was the focus of recent bilateral economic cooperation between Hungary and Indonesia? Is it the toll road payment system modernization, water treatment cooperation, investment and infrastructure development, or all of the above? 5 seconds left. Make sure to lock in your answer. And it's all of the above. And lastly, the last question is, what year did Hungary join the European Union? Was it in 1993, 2003, 2004, or 2007? This is the last question. So once you answer this, we will determine the winner. And the answer is 2004. So we have come to the end of the quiz. Congratulations to all the winners. This is third prize, second prize, and first prize. So congratulations. Again, as a reminder, please contact us via Instagram DM to claim your prizes, and kindly provide us with your name, address, phone number, as well as the screenshot of this Kahoot page for verification purposes. So ladies and gentlemen, we finally have come to the end of our session today. So thank you so much to Ambassador Judit Pach, who gave her valuable time for this session today. And on behalf of FPCI, I would also like to extend our gratitude to the Embassy of Hungary in Jakarta, the delegation of the European Union to Indonesia, and of course to all the audience on YouTube who has participated today. I would also like to remind everyone that we still have several Ask Ambassador Anything sessions that is part of Europe Virtual Talks Road to Europe Day 2021. So tomorrow at 10 a.m., we will have His Excellency Dr. Peter Skov, Ambassador of Germany to Indonesia. And then tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, we will have His Excellency Lambert Krings, Ambassador of the Netherlands to Indonesia. So make sure to stay tuned for those sessions as well. And for more information and to register for these sessions, please visit bit.ly/Europe Virtual Talks. And thank you. We hope to see you again in our future events, and happy Europe Day.